I looked at my wife of 5 years and said, "Olivia, it's him or me, no intermediate options." She was sitting next to my nominal boss, Marcus Castellanos, holding his well-manicured hand until I spoke. Then she took her hand away, an expression of confusion and fear appearing on her beautiful face. She shook her head in surprise, causing her blonde hair to glisten in the lamplight. "Just for the weekend, on Monday, everything will be back to normal. Can't you have some fun with Naomi for now?" Naomi, real name Emerald Ridges, sits next to me and has been making very intense attempts to seduce me for the last few hours. She is a stunning woman with luxurious dark hair and one of the best bodies in the world, especially if you like curves, which I definitely do. There are also rumors that she is top tier in our industry. This is all part of Marcus's scheme. When Olivia and I were invited to this estate for a weekend, it was assumed that he just wanted to get to know me better. I am a respected composer and he bought the production company that licenses my music. This happened about 3 months ago, but in fact, the whole weekend was organized so that Marcus could have intimate time with my wife. I am a dedicated musician, composer of film scores and orchestral pieces. My specialty is creating evocative themes that enhance emotional scenes. My compositions have been featured in several mid-budget films and popular streaming series. The compositions sell well, but the production company has several more acclaimed and commercially successful composers. I just happened to have a beautiful wife who attracted Marcus. They met at a gala dinner and dance that Marcus threw for his stable of musicians and producers. The party was impressive and Olivia was especially captivated when she and Mr. Castellanos danced to several musical numbers. He has polished 10 years older than 28-year-old Olivia. He has long dark hair and is a large man. As I watched them dance, I saw that he also moved gracefully. When the group took a break, they both returned to our table and Mr. Castellanos said, "You have a wonderful wife, James, and she dances beautifully." I nodded. The lack of response from me seemed to stump him for a second. Then he said, "Well, it's time for me to take care of the other guests." "It was a pleasure, madam." Olivia smiled and replied, "Mutually, Mark." I looked at her. "Marcus?" I asked, surprised by the familiar tone with my boss. "Oh yeah, he's just adorable." And she gave me a lecherous grin. "Well, let's see whose wife he snags next, huh?" She turned out to be the wife of one of the producers. And during the evening, 3 more. All this happened a month ago. My name is James Reed. There is no nickname. I'm about 6 feet tall, weighing 169 pounds. With curly brown hair and blue eyes. I'm 30 years old. I am in good physical shape and athletic. Olivia is also in good shape. She practices yoga. It is a discipline of flexibility and mindfulness. I met her at a bowling alley where her yoga studio had organized a social night. I was doing the usual networking, looking for potential commercial clients who might need background music. I always do extensive research before composing a score. This is one of my main selling points. My music doesn't dominate scenes, but enhances them. I made my way to becoming a composer up a steep staircase. I graduated from Berklee College of Music with a degree in film scoring. Since I was 10, I knew I was destined to be a musician. Throughout school, I wrote composition after composition. 2 pieces I composed in college were performed by the Boston Pops, albeit in obscure community concerts. I considered myself a serious composer until I had to work for a living. After finishing school, I worked as a session musician and I liked it, but it didn't pay that much. I started writing commercial jingles and Miracle of Miracles. One of them sold, then another one and another. My current producers signed me after I sent them my first film score demo. They gave me a mentor, Sarah Bennett. We immediately found a common language. She is a sweetheart, but deeply married with children in elementary school. It was while working on my second feature film score that I met Olivia. I finished the score after getting her perspective on a meditation scene, and we went on several dates, which soon ended in bed. Everything was fantastic. We hit it off right away, and I know that both of us were delighted. When we met, Olivia was working in her own yoga studio. She is not a rich woman and was able to survive the initial stages of starting a business thanks to loans from a family trust. In one section of the studio, all kinds of yoga classes were taught, and in the other, there was a retail space selling yoga accessories and mindfulness products. When we got married, she was 23 years old, and I was as happy as I thought possible. We had plans for children very soon, but my production company was sold to Mr. Castellanos, or Marcus as Olivia calls him. One day, Olivia came home excited. "James, next weekend, Marcus invites us to his estate," she said. I stared at her. "You mean Mr. Castellanos?" "More precisely, why are you telling me this and not him?" "Oh, I ran into him last week. We had lunch, then I gave him a tour of the studio. Today, he called with an invitation. He says he wants to get to know the musicians better. I'm sure he will be in contact with you soon, but my question is, has he been in contact with you, and how many times has he been in contact with you?" She turned slightly pale. "Nothing like that happened, James. You're being paranoid." "No, not paranoia. Tell me, why didn't you mention lunch until today? This was last week, right?" She turned away. "James, he kind of hit on me. I blew him off, but I didn't say anything because I thought you'd get in trouble. He is the owner of the company, after all. And now you seem delighted with the idea of visiting him on the estate. I've heard about this place. How many more people will be there?" "Just you and me. He has a special friend who will be there too. Well, and the staff, of course. All in order to get to know you better. It seems to me that this is in order to get to know you, all of you. How touching. I can handle this." "Are you sure you can handle it?" "Stop it. It will be great. You'll see. I'm going to decline the invitation, Olivia. It's too dangerous for us." "Oh, James, no, please. We will have fun." "Sorry." She sulked for the rest of the evening. The next day, I called the main office and asked for Mr. Castellanos to speak. And he called me back 15 minutes later. "Hello, James. Looking forward to our weekend on the estate. I'm afraid I'll have to decline, Mr. Castellanos. I don't feel comfortable. It seems my wife knew about it, but not me. In fact, I think she had lunch with you, but she didn't tell me about it. She said that you were pursuing her, and she was afraid that I would react badly if she told me everything. And she's right. James, I actually appreciate Olivia on several different levels. She is very attractive, but I can ignore it. She is an entrepreneur like me, and you are one of my most promising composers. I just want to get to know you both better. Sorry, Mr. Castellanos. It will not work. It's a shame that you feel that way, James. I wish you would change your mind. I'll keep the weekend open." At this point, we ended the call. About 3 hours later, as I was finishing the next film score, I got a call from my agent, Brian Lewis. "James, you declined Mr. Castellanos' invitation." "But how do you even know about this, Brian?" "The vice president of licensing called me. He insists that you should go. Otherwise, they may underpromote the new score, which will cost you dearly and me, since we both live from your royalties." "Did he actually threaten this?" "Not directly, but the threat was implied. This guy plays hardball. I'll get back to you, Brian." After hanging up, I emailed Sarah the final revisions of the new score with some instructions. Later, she called and we discussed everything. In the meantime, I researched Marcus Castellanos and his estate thoroughly. The estate was called Arcadia. In Greek mythology, it represents a pastoral paradise. As I delved deeper, I found several stories of inappropriate behavior at the estate, and there was mention of 2 cases of divorce where the estate was mentioned as a factor. But these stories were published in gossip tabloids. There were several photographs of Mr. Castellanos with women, 2 of them were married. All this alarmed me. I found pictures of this place on Google Maps. The estate spans 200 acres in Napa Valley among several vineyards where people go to wine tastings and enjoy countryside holidays. The property faces south and is sheltered from the elements. It has 2 guest houses and several buildings, including a large main house. There are tennis courts and a swimming pool. I downloaded detailed photographs of this place and compiled them into a map. It seemed to me that to get there and back, you would need a reliable car or private flight. I have neither, but I know people who have both. That evening, Friday, Olivia returned home on time, looking joyful. For dinner, I had prepared a large chicken salad and white wine. She went to change her clothes. While we were eating, Olivia said, "I heard that you may have changed your mind about not going to the estate." I looked at her. "From whom?" "Marcus said that you can change your mind." "At lunch." "No, he's in New York and we're here in California. He called me. He has an apartment in Milan." "How do you know he's in New York?" "Don't turn your paranoia on me, James." "He mentioned it. He said that if we agreed, he would arrange a car to take us from San Francisco. But we won't agree." "Olivia, I haven't changed my mind." James Reed, "You are so stubborn." Olivia said, "Olivia, you can go. I won't be able to have a good time there because I'll worry that we'll end up getting divorced." "Are you going to sleep with him?" "I won't go without you, James." "How can you suggest that? If I go alone, anything could happen. When you return, we might never be the same again. I can't say I'm not attracted to him, but you and I are still amazing together. So I wouldn't take that risk." "I won't. So I should believe you?" "Believe it or don't. Now is the time when my trust tank is almost empty." She quickly got up from the table, spilling the wine. "Look what you made me do." I started laughing at the absurdity. She realized how it sounded and joined me. This turned into hugs and kisses, which led to a trip upstairs. Took a whole hour. The unpleasant topic receded. As we lay in bed, Olivia said, "I won't risk this for some billionaire. I swear." I noted that she seemed to assume that we would go to the estate after all. Otherwise, what risk would she be talking about? "Then it's decided." She tensed, but didn't say anything. I asked, "Why are you so eager to go on this trip?" "Only the truth now." She didn't answer for quite some time. Then she said, "It seems exciting to be with such an important and influential person." "Sorry, I didn't mean with. But only to spend time with him. I've looked into his background. He was born rich, of course. He made a lot more money himself, but he had a huge head start. And he pursues women just like you." "Okay, well, I still believe that everything will be good and fun." I thought about it. We were ready to start trying to have children. If Olivia was going astray, now would be the time for her to do it. And if so, I thought I would like to find out about it now and not when we have children. I used to love her deeply. She is smart, lively, and beautiful. But honesty is essential, and now I had doubts. "Okay, Olivia, we can go. But I warn you, if we end up in this situation, we're done. There will be no turning back. Understand?" "Yes, I understand. I'm so glad we can do this." I decided that the warning I had just given was the last. Either she is a loyal wife or she is not. Temptation will become a test. Time will show. The next day, I accepted the invitation and made contingency arrangements with my friend. I also checked the availability of cell service at the estate. It's there. But just in case, I took my satellite phone with me. The luxury SUV we rode in from San Francisco arrived at a private driveway where we were met by a man named Peter. He took us to the main entrance where we were greeted by the house staff. After about 40 minutes of driving through the beautiful countryside, we arrived at the grand estate. Olivia and I spent time looking at the vineyards and surrounding mountains. Peter told us where we were and outlined what there was to do on the estate. He's a nice guy, bigger than me and muscular, with a wonderful smile. As we approached the main entrance on the north side of the estate, Olivia was in front and Peter said, "You don't seem very happy with the trip, Mr. Reed." "Call me James. I have my doubts." "How long have you been working on the estate?" 6 years. 2 for Mr. Castellanos. "Then you must know why I have my reservations." "Then why did you come if you're that worried?" "To see what happens." "You're also his bodyguard, aren't you?" "Yes, if necessary." "Well, he's a big guy. I'm sure he can take care of himself." "Yes, you could say I'm here just in case. Once or twice, things didn't go well, but I wasn't needed then. Looking at you, I may need to be ready. I value my marriage." "Are you armed?" "Well, I have a knife, but knives are everywhere in a kitchen." "Are there guns on the estate?" "No, not allowed." "I assume it's in the memo you received." "Yeah, but I don't really trust this situation. I'm not a very trusting person these days." "No firearms." "I assure you, you won't need one." No matter what happens, the SUV pulled up to the grand entrance. And Peter and another staff member helped with our bags. Peter gave Olivia his hand and I followed closely behind. watching their interaction carefully. I accompanied Olivia towards the main house. Mr. Castellanos met us at the entrance, dressed casually in designer jeans and a cashmere sweater. With him was Emma, the most beautiful woman I'd seen in person. As I found out, she went by Naomi professionally, but her real name was Emma Rodriguez from Los Angeles. She was the semi-official companion at the estate as well as several other properties, owned by Mr. Castellanos. Once upon a time, she could be seen with other notable men, but not so often anymore. Mr. Castellanos appears to have an exclusive arrangement with her. Mr. Castellanos extended his hand to shake and Naomi hugged him. She then hugged Olivia and finally Naomi hugged me. She smelled wonderful and felt amazing. During the embrace, her lips brushed against my ear deliberately. We were taken to a large sitting room and offered drinks. It was 1 o'clock in the afternoon and we had a light snack on the drive. But a small buffet was laid out for us. I opted for sparkling water while Olivia took wine. They both ate from the buffet. While we were doing this, Mr. Castellanos asked me about the score. I sent it to Sarah last week. It should be on schedule. Oh yes, I know you're always punctual, James. Sometimes even ahead of deadline. He smiled. Naomi asked, what are you working on? James is composing for a thriller with rock climbing and small planes and a romantic subplot. Naomi explained, I cannot wait to hear it. Maybe I can get a preview? Mr. Castellanos responded, we'll see dear, and turned to Olivia. How is the yoga business? Everything is fine. Maybe I should say namaste. There was polite laughter. I said, I think Margaret's new symphony will be well received. Margaret Wright composes serious concert pieces but has achieved commercial success. Yes, she is rising in our portfolio. But James, she's not at your commercial level yet. I mentioned Morgan, who goes by Belle Sterling professionally and composes pop music. She is the top-selling composer in the company. Morgan just follows formulas. I said with mild sarcasm. Mr. Castellanos laughed. It works to our advantage. I reviewed your contract last week. You owe us another score. Yes, due around Christmas, about 9 months from now. But I've already begun the preliminary work. Naomi said, are we changing topics? Yes, sometimes I need a break from thrillers. I continued, the next piece is for a period drama set in the English countryside. I researched it when we visited last summer. Naomi said, Marcus speaks very highly of your commercial appeal. Each composition outperforms the previous one. Olivia added, it builds a following for future work. My studio makes reasonable profits. Naomi asked, but do you have family money? Yes, but since the studio became profitable, I haven't needed to touch it. Mr. Castellanos stood up. If you're finished with lunch, let's take a swim. And he headed toward the door. Naomi said, if you have swimwear, I'll show you to your room. The three of us followed her to a large bedroom with an en-suite bathroom. She closed the door behind us. We changed into swimwear. I wore simple trunks, but Olivia had packed a revealing pink bikini. Is that necessary? Who are you trying to impress? I asked quietly, I just want to look appropriate. Naomi is gorgeous. No more than you. She didn't appreciate my tone, but said nothing. When we came downstairs, Naomi was wearing a stylish blue bikini. That complemented her figure perfectly. We walked to the pool area on the south side of the estate along a stone pathway. Mr. Castellanos was already swimming laps. Olivia said, I think I'll just relax poolside. Me too. Naomi agreed. I dove into the pool and swam to where Mr. Castellanos was doing a front crawl. I joined him. He was a capable swimmer for a man of his build. But I had the advantage of a swimmer's physique and easily matched his pace, occasionally switching strokes. I continued until he tired himself and headed back to the shallow end. When we reached the steps, he seemed winded. I offered him a hand as he exited the pool. He regained his composure quickly and declined my assistance. I'm fine. Just did a few too many laps. We approached the women lounging in the sun, and I asked, anyone else want to swim? Naomi stood immediately. She raised her arms, adjusting her top slightly, and walked to the pool. I looked at Olivia, who shook her head. I followed Naomi. Her swimming form was impressive. She dove gracefully and swam to the deep end. I followed her lead. She swam much better than Mr. Castellanos, which surprised me. We swam side by side for a while before she said, "Let's turn back." I complied but couldn't help noticing her athletic form as she swam. She rolled onto her back, floating effortlessly. She was truly remarkable. Backstroke being my specialty. I swam alongside her. After a few lengths, she said, "I'm done," and swam to the steps. I paused briefly before following. When I emerged from the pool, Olivia and Mr. Castellanos were nowhere to be seen. Naomi was watching me with obvious interest. "What are you, some kind of Olympic swimmer?" I laughed. "There's only one way to find out my full capabilities." She stepped closer, then stopped herself. "We shouldn't do this here, regardless of how tempting it is." She turned and walked away. I caught up easily and we moved to the covered veranda. Our spouses were still absent. I wondered if they had already secluded themselves somewhere. Naomi asked, "So do you really connect with the emotions in your compositions?" "Yes, I have to understand the feelings to convey them properly. I need to make the audience believe in the story, even if I can't personally experience all the situations." Naomi studied me intently. Her gaze was disarming, and I felt both uncomfortable and drawn to her. She had a magnetic presence. I said, "Naomi, please understand. I'm married to a wonderful woman, and I intend to honor that commitment. I'm asking as a favor, don't pursue this." Naomi laughed softly. "A composer with principles. How refreshing." I said, "Perhaps we should find our partners? Does it matter to you where they are?" "Yes, it does. I want you to understand that I won't be sleeping with you this weekend, regardless of what Olivia decides to do. If things go in that direction, I'll leave and I'll probably regret having to end my marriage." I offered a sad smile. "I should warn you, James. I'm not easily discouraged." She walked into the house and I waited a few minutes before following. When I went upstairs to change, I found our room empty but heard the shower running. It stopped as I entered, and Olivia emerged moments later wrapped in a towel. She seemed startled to see me. "Has Naomi already made her move?" she asked with a hint of concern. "No, please understand, Olivia. I'm not interested in Naomi. I hope you're not interested in Mr. Castellanos either. We discussed this already. What were you two doing while we were swimming?" He showed me the wine cellar, the tennis court, and the gym. Nothing inappropriate happened. I doubted this account. They wouldn't have risked anything with Naomi and me potentially returning at any moment. But I was certain they were testing boundaries. He was a perfect gentleman. That's good to hear, but sooner or later, he will make his intentions clear. You know that? Yes, and she will do the same with you. He has as little chance with me as she has with you. Olivia gave me a knowing look. This isn't reassuring, but I'm committed to us. And you should be too. The consequences would be severe otherwise. She dropped her towel. We have some time before drinks at 5 o'clock. Let's reconnect. I was still affected by the tension of the day, and we came together passionately. Afterward, we realized that the windows were open. Olivia laughed. "Well, we are married after all." I glanced outside and saw Naomi on a lounger not far from our window. She looked up, smiled knowingly, and waved before gathering her things. I stepped back quickly. Olivia noticed my reaction and followed my gaze. She watched Naomi for a moment. From outside came a soft laugh. Olivia turned to me again and said, "My God, James. She's quite something. Isn't she? I almost understand the temptation. I won't be tempted." Olivia seemed skeptical. "Maybe we should ensure we're fully satisfied throughout the weekend. Every few hours should keep us focused on each other." We dressed and went downstairs. I wore casual shorts and a linen shirt, while Olivia chose a summer dress and sandals that highlighted her natural beauty. In the main room, Mr. Castellanos was drinking a craft beer. "James, how was your swim with Naomi?" "Refreshing. She's an excellent swimmer. Just one of her many talents. Please call me Marcus." "All right, it's a distinguished name with historical significance. My father appreciated classical culture." Naomi entered wearing an elegant but form-fitting dress. I noticed Olivia studying her, perhaps feeling a touch of insecurity. understanding the dynamics. I moved closer to Olivia and put my arm around her. Marcus gestured to the bar. Help yourselves to whatever you'd like. The pretzels are particularly good. He popped one into his mouth. We chatted amicably for a while. Then Naomi offered to show me more of the house. It was undeniably impressive, particularly the professional gym. Does Marcus use the equipment regularly? I asked. He lifts weights. She pointed to a bench with a loaded barbell. Looks substantial. I positioned myself and carefully lifted the weight for 5 repetitions before racking it. Naomi watched with obvious appreciation. He only manages 3 before resting. She mentioned her breathing slightly altered. I completed 8 more repetitions to make a point. And said, everyone has different strengths. You certainly have many. I stood up and added, I understand my role this weekend. I'm supposed to be distracted by you while Marcus pursues Olivia. That's the general idea. I always complete my assignments, even when they're unpleasant. Though you would be far from unpleasant. She gave me a captivating smile. If I asked you sincerely to stop, would you? I was serious, though she took it as flirtation. No, but I would enjoy the asking. She ascended the stairs while I regained my composure before following. Back in the living room, the 3 were engaged in quiet conversation that stopped when I entered. Marcus said, have something to drink, James? Beer. I went to the bar, selected a craft beer, and opened it. The others had wine. We made small talk until I asked directly, have you finished plotting? Or should I give you more privacy? An uncomfortable silence followed. They exchanged glances, primarily watching Olivia's reaction. She looked to Marcus, who simply said, no secrets here. At that moment, Peter appeared to announce dinner. We moved to the dining room where an elegant buffet awaited. We sat at one end of a long table. Water was poured, but I stayed with my beer, creating a subtle tension. We discussed politics and baseball. Marcus supported the Giants while Olivia and I followed the Dodgers. I mentioned my fondness for the Cubs from my Chicago days. Dessert was served, tiramisu. But I deliberately avoided mine. Marcus noticed, watching your figure, you seem quite fit. You have no excess weight yourself. I saw when we were swimming. I noticed you're not touching your water, only wine. As I told Olivia before we came, my trust is in short supply. Can you blame me? Olivia interjected. Do you seriously think they would drug you? That's absurd, James. Don't be ridiculous. I smiled thinly and pushed Marcus's water glass toward him. Indulge me. Marcus remained expressionless. Then called Peter when his assistant appeared. Marcus said, please clear the table. Peter removed my untouched water and dessert immediately. Naomi suggested, let's move to the courtyard. There's music for dancing. Olivia and Marcus remained silent. I offered my hand to Naomi and escorted her outside. Once there, she turned to me. You really think he would drug you? I wouldn't have thought so, but his reaction to my suggestion was telling. He wouldn't touch what was meant for me and had it removed immediately. The others joined us as soft music began playing. I approached Olivia, took her hand, and led her to the dance floor, away from Marcus. We danced together, initially with some hesitation on her part. But gradually she relaxed and pressed close to me. I love you, James. Boys. She whispered, I love you too, Olivia. When the song ended, we rejoined Marcus and Naomi at their table. As the next song began, Naomi stood and extended her hand to me. On the dance floor, I noticed Marcus dancing with Olivia. Despite Naomi's enchanting perfume and graceful movements, I remained vigilant. I saw Marcus' hands wandering inappropriately and Olivia not objecting. I disengaged from Naomi, walked directly to them, and simply stood watching. Olivia noticed me and attempted to create distance between herself and Marcus. He kept his hands where they shouldn't be until she gently pushed against his chest, saying, I don't want trouble. He released her, but took her hand as they returned to the table. Naomi rejoined me, sitting very close as we returned. Olivia was holding Marcus' hand across the table. Marcus said, I'm disappointed in you, James. Naomi is an exceptional partner. She could give you an unforgettable experience. Yet you're denying yourself this opportunity. I have a wife. This isn't a trade. And so we arrived at the confrontation I'd anticipated from the beginning. I turned to Olivia and stated firmly, it's him or me. No intermediate options. She withdrew her hand from his grasp, but looked at me and said, just for the weekend. On Monday, everything will be back to normal. Can't you have some fun with Naomi for now? I studied her face intently. You're actually willing to do this? Be completely honest. Even if it means the end of our marriage. No, I don't understand why it should end our marriage, but I won't do it. I reached for her hand and she took it. I pulled her to me and kissed her passionately, my hands tracing her outline. Then I pulled away, tears threatening. The very fact that you would even consider sleeping with him means everything is already over between us. I turned and walked toward the stairs. She cried out, no, James. I hurried upstairs, grabbed the bag I'd packed earlier, and descended via the service stairwell. I made a phone call and disappeared into the darkness. Heartbroken. Her desperate calls echoed behind me. 20 minutes later, I heard a car approaching. It stopped near the southern gate, where my friend Todd was waiting. As I walked toward him, Marcus and Peter appeared behind me. Marcus shouted, you idiot. You can't just leave. Go back and handle your wife. He moved aggressively toward me. I had already reached the gate. Marcus was not in a state for rational discussion. Peter kept his distance, noting that Todd was prepared for trouble. I firmly pushed Marcus back when he got too close. He stumbled and shouted, you're finished. You hear me? Your career is over. I got into the car and Todd drove away. We headed to a small airstrip near Oakland where he had left another vehicle for me. I thanked him for his help and drove home to Los Angeles. The journey was dark and solitary. Our house was silent and dark. I wandered through it looking at photos of happier times. Emotionally drained. I collapsed into a chair and fell asleep staring into emptiness. At 8 o'clock the next morning, I woke to the sound of a car outside. I looked out to see Olivia getting out of a rental car. She carried her bag to the door, unlocked it, and entered. We stood facing each other, motionless. She looked devastated. In my entire life, I've never made such a terrible mistake. She said quietly, and I never will again. I don't want to lose you, James. I shrugged. Olivia, what did you expect would happen when you considered Marcus's proposition? Did you think I wouldn't notice because I was distracted by Naomi? I was foolish, James. So incredibly foolish. Tell me the truth. Did you and Marcus plan this from the beginning? She looked down. Not exactly. He suggested that when we arrived, there might be an arrangement. I thought I would immediately refuse and that would be the end of it. But you didn't refuse. You suggested I participate, only because I saw how attracted you were to Naomi. You were completely on edge around her. And then what? Did you think we could go back to normal, build a family together, knowing we couldn't trust each other? I saw it as a breaking point. Either we honor our commitments or we don't. I smiled sadly. I understand why you might have thought Naomi would be irresistible. But why did you think Marcus would be worth risking everything we have? He was exciting, powerful, confident. I never thought he would be better than you. Just different. So how can I trust this won't happen again? There are plenty of powerful, exciting men in the world. And Marcus is still in our professional orbit. I never intended to betray you. It was all there in front of you. I just thought you might agree to the arrangement. Now you know I wouldn't. I refused Naomi despite everything. Yes, and that's how I know you would never agree to something like this. You proved your loyalty. The woman I married wouldn't have even considered another man's proposal. You've changed, Olivia. James, please, can we at least try to move forward? Our connection has always been strong. We can rebuild while you learn to trust me again. She stood and slowly removed her clothes. I considered turning away but couldn't. She took my hand and led me upstairs. One thing that remained constant between us was our physical compatibility. In that moment of reconnection, I saw a path forward. Difficult though it might be. I allowed her to stay. 10 years later, I'm picking up the kids from the school bus. 3:15. Melody is 8 and Noah is 6. Lily, who doesn't yet attend school, is 3 years old. I've become a stay-at-home composer with a part-time assistant. allowing me to balance work and family. It took more than a year before I trusted Olivia enough to start trying for children, but when we did, our relationship deepened. The thought of creating a family together brought us closer than ever before. I terminated my contract with Sarah and the production company, moving to an independent studio. The first film I scored after the incident was a psychological thriller set in wine country. I drew inspiration from our experience, though the director had no idea. In the film, the protagonist escapes a manipulative business partner after discovering his wife is being targeted. There's even a subplot where the antagonist attempts to drug the wife to lower her inhibitions. But ultimately, the villain is exposed and loses everything. The soundtrack received critical acclaim, and the film's success led to a 3-picture deal with the same director. Marcus couldn't object to the obvious parallels in the story, especially since he was portrayed as a sophisticated but morally bankrupt arts patron. If he had complained, he would have had to acknowledge the truth of what happened that weekend. Olivia has expanded to 2 successful yoga studios. They generate a comfortable income, though my film scoring provides our primary support. Before fully reconciling, she signed a post-nuptial agreement that we both honor, with infidelity as clear grounds for dissolution. Today, as the school year begins, I'm watching the children climb off the bus when a small red sports car pulls into our driveway. A stunning pair of legs emerges, followed by Naomi, or Emma, as we now know her. Melody smiles and waves enthusiastically. Aunt Emma, Aunt Emma, the children shout as they run to her. She embraces them warmly, making a fuss over how much they've grown. Little Lily toddles out to the front door to greet her. I pour Emma her preferred sparkling water with lime as she enters. Olivia will be home soon. I tell her, perfect timing. She replies, I've brought everything for our dinner party tonight. Life takes unexpected turns. After the incident at the estate, Emma reached out to apologize. She had resigned from her arrangement with Marcus after witnessing our commitment to each other. Over time, she became a trusted friend to both Olivia and me, though always with clear boundaries. She's now a successful event planner who occasionally helps us host small gatherings. Marcus eventually sold the production company after a series of scandals. Last I heard, he had retreated to an actual island somewhere in the Mediterranean. His departure from our industry was celebrated quietly by many who had endured his manipulations. Sometimes the tests we face, however painful, reveal exactly what we need to know. In our case, it showed that while we weren't perfect, what we had was worth fighting for. Thank you for your time, and that's the end of my story. Subscribe to not miss more videos like this. And remember, history is a chance to become a better person, and see you soon.